The following program is a Town of Colonie television production of the William K. Sanford Town Library.
Welcome to Albany County News. I'm Mary Rozak, Director of Communications for Albany County. In the next 30 minutes or so, I hope you'll find out some interesting information, some place you can perhaps go in the future, a website you can check out, or some other interesting facts about Albany County that you never knew. Joining us today is Gina Mintzer from the Albany County Convention and Visitors Bureau. Welcome, Gina.
Thank you, Mary. Glad to be here today.
You are always a ball of energy. I feel like, you elevate the level of energy when you're in a room. So as we were coming over today, I was telling my intern that, and I think she thought, what is she talking about? But,
well, thank you.
But I always feel like I'm energized when I talk to you. Let's talk about something that's very exciting about the Convention and Visitors Bureau and Albany County. When we think about all of the wonderful things that the Bureau does, we hone in Albany County and think about a particular month, a particular genre for us, and that's sports, and the Times Union Center in particular, and everything that March Madness, I know it's a trademark, but we're going to use it here, everything that March Madness brings to Albany County. And I don't think people realize how important sports and Albany County are connected.
Well, I'm glad that you asked about that, because really for us in the Bureau, it begins at the end of February at the Times Union Center with New York State Public High School Athletic Association and the big wrestling tournament. So that particular event this year, I think they had their greatest attendance ever with over 14,000 people over a Friday, Saturday. And that fills every hotel room. But then you've got, and it starts with only 300 wrestlers, but all of their families come.
Sure.
So, and it could be grandma, grandpa, mom and dad, and brothers and sisters. And they're not only staying in our hotels, but they're also eating in our restaurants. They visited events that are also going on at the Empire State Plaza during the weekend, because they're only watching their wrestler for a certain amount of time. And for that particular event, the Times Union Center is very gratuitous in allowing people to come and go.
Okay.
With their, they have a re-entry policy, which works. So, and it fills, people are paying to park while they're in downtown, in addition to eating and drinking and visiting many things. And from that weekend, we rolled right into the MAC tournament. So MAC basketball means a lot to us. And this year was very important because the MAC in and of itself is going to vote to come back here for 3 more years. So we were all on our best. Not that we aren't always, but this was a big year for us.
It's that extra push.
It's a huge extra push.
I'm going to stop you because you're on a roll, but when we talk about, we at the county, our office building is downtown. We are a block from the Times Union Center. We know when something is happening there. And when the wrestlers come to town, part of my responsibility, we put out a note to all county employees that, you may want to plan for heavy traffic volume.
Exactly.
Those doors open on that Friday morning. I think it's 8 o'clock in the morning.
Yes.
So the parking garage where we all park, the streets around there, they are packed with people.
Yes, and the wrestlers come early. They want to get their seat. They want to get their program. They want to buy their shirts. So there is a lot going on at least 2 hours before the first wrestling bout, which is what it's called when they're having their...
When they're engaged in those, bear hogs, right?
So it is a big deal, and they want to already have had their coffee or bagel or Cider Belly had a huge weekend while they were here. So there's other things happening behind the scenes, and you can see it. Your parking garage is already close to full, as long as you're parking spot is protected. So we're very excited about that.
And it is exciting because even when we go out for a walk around lunchtime, or we're running from one building to another to a meeting, you can see the people that are on the streets, and it's so very different when there is that kind of excitement going on at the Times Union Center.
Oh yeah, and the activity, I think all of the downtown vendors, who whatever they sell or whatever their business is, they all step up to the plate as well, knowing that they're part of that excitement and experience for our guests that are here.
And it is exciting, as we were talking about, I interrupted you talking about the MAC. Would have been wonderful if Santa had gone further in the MAC, but you know what? They had another invitational tournament, and all of that by the time this airs will have played out. But it is exciting to see the number of people that will come down to watch those high school tournament games.
Absolutely.
Those college games, excuse me.
And we are known for that. I mean, if anybody was around last year for the women's basketball, and UConn is a big powerhouse in women's basketball, and they travel very well. But at the end of the day, when you look at the actual ticket sales, our local community are just sports fans. So they ponied up their own dollars to come and watch good basketball. It wasn't men's or women's, it was good basketball. And the same thing happened throughout the MAC tournament. The Monmouth game was just as well attended on that Friday night, and of course the mac and cheese event leading up to it was a big deal, and people came out not only the Monmouth fans, but just fans in general. So we were very pleased at the turnout for that game that was all about good basketball. And Siena didn't play until Saturday night. And then Sunday night's game for Siena was well attended, but the Monday night championship game, it was Monmouth and Iona. People came out of the woodwork again for good basketball.
Sure. And Monmouth, of course, has just been, a Cinderella story, so to speak. So, people love those stories.
Yes, they do. And our local folks, again, wanted to be a part of that. And they got to experience it here and meet people one-on-one. I talked to a lot of the Monmouth fans who said, we are so excited to be here because people have welcomed us. Because, again, they'd been in town since Friday. So they staying through Monday. They got to stay and experience Albany and our friendliness and the welcome that they received here. It was a big deal.
Okay, and it doesn't matter if I recall the specific days. Our winter has been wonderful.
Yes.
So people coming have not been brutalized by that cold weather. So they've really been able to enjoy walking around.
That is so true.
Monmouth in particular is just one example, though, of a team that came in and did a lot of other things to generate local dollars for us.
Yes, they did.
And that is, that's something that I don't think people realize. You want to, talk about that?
Yes. So Monmouth was a team that came in and they played Friday night. So then, and you figure that they're still here throughout the tournament. They won their semifinals, quarterfinals, and semifinals to make it to the championship game. So while they're here, their school had 2 events at the City Beer Hall, rallies, if you will, a pep rally before each game. They had a lot of additional hotel rooms at the Hilton Garden Inn at Albany Medical Center. So they were there celebrating after the event at the Recovery Grill. So in between, though, people are going to Crossgates Mall because a cheer and dance group from their particular school was performing there. People hung out for the band jam. That was before even the women's game on Saturday. So again, you're in town for that, so you want to experience everything. There was a Kids Expo at the Empire State Plaza, so people were with their families, went to that. Sunday, do you go to church services? Do you go to the mall and hang out? Because it was a much later game, a 7 o'clock game, you have all day. So we heard that people were at the movies, they were at the malls, they were at Stuyvesant Plaza, so we have a lot for other things for people to do throughout the weekend while they're here.
And that's a big part, I don't think, of what people realize the Convention and Visitors Bureau does. It's a whole package of things that you make sure people know what is here and what is offered.
Yes, and especially for the MAC, because not only is it just about the teams that are here, but they're also doing other community events while they were here. So, of course, there was public bounce to the arena event for kids to get them excited about the tournament, and then the band jam. But while they're fair here, they also did a college fair where they actually had all 11 schools and their admissions folks. They did an event at Niskayuna High School, at Shaker High, and at Bethlehem High. So those students at all of those high schools, and particularly juniors, that was the target, got to meet one-on-one with those admissions folks, and those schools welcomed them to be there. So we're looking at how do we expand that for next year, because it was very well attended and those schools embraced it, but we don't want to leave out any of the other schools in the market area.
Oh, certainly.
So so that was a piece. Also, the MAC Gives Back program was a one-on-one with all MAC schools, a pen pal program with Hackett. So each of the schools were assigned a class. So throughout the whole the semester, if you will, throughout the basketball time frame, those students had one-on-one. So when, let's say, Monmouth came to play Siena, they actually went and visited with their Hackett class while they were in town.
Okay, that I did not know.
Yeah, so there was photos of, because the bus brigade, which was where schools came to the games on Friday. They actually had Hackett, Mackett signs up, and so they had one-on-one interaction with those players throughout the season. So
and that's that whole that MAC Gives Back that you were talking about, those opportunities.
So there's other things happening in our community with regard to a lot of the sporting events that are here in town. We don't see them all, because some of them fly under the radar screen. So wrestling, they do a coach's clinic and some other things so that they take advantage of Albany and what we have to offer while they're here.
Wonderful. Let's, we just skimmed the surface of it, and I know that the numbers are out there from Molly in your office about the Mac and Cheese Fest. That was something that was brand spanking new this year, and how I would say it was a home run.
A huge home run.
We love our mac and cheese. Yeah. We do.
But it was also the bands being there, coming to play. It was just the excitement. It was a great lead up to a game that, even though our local favorite was not in that game, it was a welcome to the schools that were playing.
Sure.
So and we do take into account, yes, this is a home court for Siena, and we want to be as neutral as possible, because we want the fan experience to be great for all fans, not just those wearing green and gold. So Monmouth thought that this event was just for them. And the other, even though it was for everybody, because they were playing that night.
Gotcha.
So they felt that feeling of, wow, this is exciting for all of us, that we're all very welcome here. And it was great for the vendors that were there, to showcase their mac and cheese. And the fact that Jack's won, it's not the first thing that you would think of as a people's choice for mac and cheese. So it was just fun. The whole evening was fun.
So I can expect in future MAC events, when Albany hosts again, which I'm going to guess it's going to happen, we're going to see a Mac and Cheese Fest return.
Absolutely.
And the craft beer and all of that.
And I think it would just only grow, because now people have a flair for it, and we do love our mac and cheese.
We do. We are talking today with Gina Mintzer from the Albany County Convention and Visitors Bureau. We're talking about sports, March Madness, and the benefit to Albany County. Let's talk some dollars and cents, because when we get right down to it, we are talking some big bucks.
That's the
as I was looking at the numbers that you had provided me, we're talking about total business sales, for the MAC alone, of $2.19 million. That's a lot of money.
And that goes into everything. So for instance, when we calculate those numbers, it's not just the turnstile at the arena. Each person has a multiplier factor. So for instance, you go to a game, and then there's a multiplier that you will buy a bottle of water and maybe some other piece of food. You've driven your car to get there, or you've come by train. There's a transportation multiplier in there. There's also the cost of actually putting on that event. So the organizer has costs. The MAC has costs that they pay in advance. The arena has costs. So this 2.1 million also figures in the jobs that are sustained because of that business being here. And it's not not just someone who works at the arena or me that's part of the tourism that helps to bring it here. It's also a parking attendant. It's a CDTA bus driver.
Okay.
You know, there's all of those jobs that are directly impacted when you do a major event. And this particular event has 22 teams. There's 11 schools, both a men's and a women's team. Those teams, each of them stay overnight, except for Sienna. They eat. They have meals, 3 meals per day. They, some of them came by coach bus. Some of them have come here and then hired ground transportation while they're here.
Okay.
So there's all of those multipliers that are put into that piece of business. It's a big deal.
Now, for someone like you and me, we understand marketing
Yes.
and public relations. Someone at home might say, oh, that sounds good, but how do I know? How do I know that they're not just pulling a number out of the hat? How do you know, the hard facts that this is really the number or close to it that's actually coming in?
Okay, so we work directly with the arena on we input their numbers of what is in their budget. So there's actual dollars for food and beverage. There's a catering budget for the MAC while they're here. So those dollars are figured directly into this. So we don't use just random multipliers. We actually have the actual dollars that have to be spent based on their budget. And they don't want us to show over budget because it's not truthful. For me in my job, my role, I look at the attendance numbers, but I know the contracted room nights.
Okay.
So for instance, that's put in here, not, there might have been 10 additional people that stayed overnight because of this team. It's not contracted. I can't put it into the numbers. So, and with that, if you've got 100 contracted rooms, there is a multiplier for, there's a housekeeping that's part of that job that's sustained because of that overnight room.
Sure.
There is, because of the meals that are involved, there's a wait staff that take care of that. There is cooks in the kitchen that take care of that. So that is factored in. And those are real jobs. Those meals must be prepped by somebody.
Sure.
So for that, we only use the numbers that I can back up my boss when she also talks about it.
Sure. Let me throw this in because people at home might be thinking also about the new convention center, the Capitol Center coming in, and your job, predominantly is selling.
That's
all
correct.
Of this, is really selling Albany County. So as the renovations are done at the Times Union Center, which we know are going to start at some point this summer.
Yes.
As we know, we're looking for a hard date, but we know sometime in 2017 we're going to have that Capitol Center up, that new convention center. What are you looking at, and how are you seeing that this is really going to impact Albany County?
Okay, so I'm going to go to Rhode Island a week from Friday to talk with a religious group that has wanted to come here for about 8 years.
Okay.
They've been on our radar screen. And I'm going to map out for them how Albany will work. They've already come here for a site tour, and their event is in Rhode Island, and we'd really want them to be one of the first groups that will be here in 2017 because their business is always Easter weekend.
So how many people are we talking?
That particular piece of business is 2,000 people.
Okay.
They would need all of the hotels in downtown. So we count that at roughly about 1,000 hotel rooms between all of the hotels and the Hilton Garden Inn at the Albany Medical Center and the Town Place Suites. So so that would include the Hampton, the Hilton, the Renaissance, the Fairfield, and the Holiday Inn Express. So with that hotel package and their proximity, we would need the new Capitol Center as well as the Empire State Plaza Convention Center. And we've been charged with finding new business, not to cannibalize business that's already here, or if there is a piece of business that has been here, if it can grow, not just to move it from the Wolf Road area to downtown,
Right.
or to take it from the Empire State Plaza and move it to the Capitol Center. Our goal is to grow business that's here. So to utilize more hotel rooms, to utilize more space, to utilize more catering that's involved. So that's really our challenge, or that's been the charge of us as sales folks each and every day.
So I am going to say, what is, and this is a nice segue into your 40th anniversary, not you particularly, but the 40th anniversary of the Albany County Convention and Visitors Bureau. what are your biggest sales tools? And I know I'm saying that because as part of the 40th anniversary, you have a top 40 list.
We do.
For Albany County.
Yes, we do have a top 40 list. And
I'm going to flip it open here.
That's great. That's great. So our Albany top 40 are really the iconic places, things, experiences that we would know being Albanians. But that's also a huge selling tool for us. It's part of the experience of when you bring your meeting, convention, or sports business to town. It's everything from the history that people enjoy while they're here, just in our architecture. It's events like Tulip Fest.
Sure.
That's an iconic event. It's Nipper. That, when you see that, you see RCA, but some people don't understand the history of that. But yet, manufacturing and technology is a big part of who and what we are right now, between our higher education and the actual companies that are located here. So that's part of our top 40. Thatcher Park, as the premier nature place to go, from hiking to just sightseeing, to see the skyline of Albany from Thatcher Park is just beautiful.
Sure.
To the Pine Bush, that Carner Blue butterfly is a big deal.
It gets a lot of press, I'm going to tell you. It does. It gets a lot of press.
So that's part of, those are just a few of the top 40 that I can just name and roll off. But really, we look at it from the places and spaces in the meeting industry to our culture, and our heritage, our history and heritage, to our cuisine. Food is a big part of any event that you do, from a food truck to the Mazzone catering, and everything in between, and our restaurants. The cuisine is a big deal. So that's noted here in our top 40 as well.
Well, something that should be on this list that I am not seeing, we're talking about, Thatcher Park, wonderful, but we've got the Albany County Rail Trail, and the rail trail that comes all the way down to downtown Albany now. Because I'm thinking, and I'm not putting you on the spot, I'm saying I'm thinking that when people are coming in, maybe a trip, Thatcher Park is beautiful, but a trip out to Thatcher Park may not be what they can do, but a walk on the rail trail, maybe something. So I'm gonna lobby for that to get on the top 40 list. But the Albany Mummies, love that.
Yes.
Love having that on the list. New York State Museum, all of the things that we take for granted. I don't recall now, is the State Museum back open on Sundays again?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it is. Yes.
Because I would think that would be, huge proximity, like you said, something close, and very family oriented too when you have some of those big events come to town. So when you're actually selling, not having sat on the other side, if I had a convention that I was planning, what are some of the bigger questions that people have about Albany? Space. When you think about space, you need 1,000 rooms. You can get that anywhere.
That's correct.
But what do you think? When they're hearing about Albany, really clinches the deal in some instances?
Well, the biggest thing is that they buy us. They are buying the people that are going to make them successful for their event. And
with your energy, we've got the right person out there selling it.
But I just came back from a trade show with the Albany Capitol Center, and everyone that we met with, it is about space and rates, but they looked right at us and said, well, what can you do for us? And right off the bat, we tell them, we make sure you're the big fish in our pond. So when you are here, we are all about you. From our everything that we do is customized to them. We want to make sure that we help to market their events when they come here in advance. And if we can help them do that and they have a greater attendance, it's a trickle. It's ripples in our pond, because more people means a greater successful convention for them. It is more money at the end of the day, whether it's heads in the beds, feet on the street, if you will. But at the end of the day, we make sure that it's the personal touch in everything that we do. So everything is customized. If we need help at the airport, we can call John O'Donnell's office at the airport and get whatever we need. So when we everything that we need in our county is here and it's accessible. So your office, Dan McCoy, the county executive, is accessible to our groups. He does many a welcome, as you know.
Yes.
That is so important versus the assistant to the county executive.
Sure.
So those are deliverables that we do each and every day, and that word gets out there. And just as you see the visuals from on Twitter or social media, the photographs, people are happy to be here, but then their attendees are happy to be here.
Sure.
And at the end of the day, you can see it from our repeat business. Why will people come here? Because they want to be here. Now we're going to have the right space for this particular group. It's Church of Pentecost, because we have what they want. And when they came for the site tour, people came out of the woodwork. When a GM said, I want to catch up with you because I knew that you were touring our property. And it wasn't just about that salesperson.
Sure.
So that
it shows that level of interest, that
that's
degree
exactly
of
right.
them being important.
Yes. And so we not only sell that every day, we deliver that every day.
So the biggest way that you are going to be able to market and get new businesses, you're going to these trade shows, you're selling it.
That's exactly every day. And we have been for quite a while.
Wow. So you're excited about this?
I am very excited about it. My next trip is actually to a sports events trade show. And I'm actively involved in that organization to elevate our opportunity to bring sporting events inside. The changes and the renovations at the Times Union Center will allow other things that may not have been we weren't able to do in the past. The connectivity with the Empire State Plaza and the Albany Capitol Center will allow us to do some things that we were not able to do in the past. So we're going after new business that has not been here because we didn't have the right pieces for them, and now we do. But we are definitely the right location in the Northeast that people want.
That synchronicity too with the renovations at the Times Union Center. I know some of the big things there, including more area for media updated.
Yes.
The look is going to be fantastic. I'm so excited about the new facade and the indoor water features.
Yes.
Which brings me to something that I just want your quick opinion about, because this is a business you deal in. There have been talk for a while about perhaps an aquarium in downtown Albany. And of course, there's an aquarium now coming to Schenectady County, the Rotterdam Square Mall. I can't wait. I don't know what they're going to call it. I think they've already calling it something different. I can't wait till that opens. I mean, I think that's exciting. Do you think that an aquarium, we take the politics out of it, do you think that an aquarium might have been an interesting kind of feature somewhere in Albany County, if not downtown Albany?
I think it is interesting. I think that, I don't know from a sustainable 10 years from now, you have to, it's a heavy lift year in and year out, because school groups have cut back, and, just because of transportation budgets, we've seen it at our own visitor center. So I think that depending on the marketing plan and how you're marketing that, 60, 90, 180 miles out those rings.
Sure.
Does the Boston Aquarium market to you and me? No. Do they need to? I don't know that. I don't know their market plan. So I think as an attraction, the ones that we currently have, if you ask them, I think it would be mixed.
It's not something, let me ask you this, it's not something that people say, okay, we're thinking about a convention and you don't have an aquarium. They're not
at all.
Okay, gotcha.
Our attractions are an added bonus. Gotcha. It's a value add.
Gotcha.
Because it's different than what they would get in another destination.
Wonderful. Well, we're just about out of time. Gina, thank you so much for coming in. There's always so much that we can cover. Is there a special event tied to the 40th?
There is actually, it's an ongoing on social media where you can log in and actually showcase your own photos, whether you were at Thatcher Park or Nipper. I'm going to post one about Nipper because when I was a little girl, I have my own little Nipper story with a photo. And then I landed here, of all places, in Albany, and there's Nipper right for me.
So you go to the Albany County Convention and Visitors Bureau website?
Yes, that's correct. Okay. Click on Top 40, and then that'll show you the top 40 iconic things that are named the top 40, and then from there you can, every week there's something else that you can post and win prizes throughout.
Perfect. Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Being here. We'll have to have you back again soon.
Yeah, glad to be here.
All right. Well, that was Gina Mintzer from the Albany County Convention and Visitors Bureau. I'm Mary Rozak. This has been Albany County News. We'll see you again soon.